So I want to start every stream I have with a little segment I call Current Events. All right. First, there some other people have been covering this better, so you could probably I would recommend going to Tim Pool uh, and timcast.com and other news websites that seem to be covering. I'm just going to cover the headline: shocking news. Shocking news from Waukesha, Wisconsin. Christmas parade, comfort and joy turns to carnage and fear. There were bodies all over the place. The theme of the 12 block parade on Main Street was comfort and joy, which the people of Waukesha, Wisconsin sorely needed after so many lonely months after last year's annual holiday celebration was outright canceled. This Waukesha's 58th Christmas parade was to be a triumph of community, 67 bands and dance teams, scouts and sports teams, a festive reminder that people still knew how to find life's pleasures together. I'm going to skip that part. Just describing, setting up the zone. At 4:39 Sunday, with the sun in its golden hour, with children dancing and parents glowing, a red Ford Escape zoomed westbound along the right lane of the parade route. A band was playing Jingle Bells. The speeding SUV, witnesses said, it was moving at least 40 miles per hour, mowed over a series of white sawhorses set up to keep the streets safe for marchers. A couple of moments after the vehicle rushed by, a police officer on foot sprinted after it. The bands played on, but along the sidewalks, spectators turned to each other, got up from their beach chairs. A father pulled his daughter close. Then a police squad car zipped past, its engine roaring. So it was just describing what happened. The driver, Darrell E. Brooks, 39, who authorities said was fleeing from a knife fight, he plowed through some. He plowed through a few people. Five people are dead, and around 40 are injured. So it's a true tragedy. It's really heartbreaking to see something at a Christmas parade. Me in my hometown, we were doing Christmas parades every year, and I just can't even imagine a person plowing through my own Christmas parade. Just thinking about it just really like makes me sick. Like I actually feel a little sick right now, just putting myself in that situation, you know. And so this is breaking. This happened today. No, not today. This happened. I believe this happened over the weekend. But it's they're covering it today because it's Monday. That's just how the news cycle goes. You know, it was breaking news over the weekend, and they're and let's see. I remember it saying the day. Yeah, Sunday. It was over the weekend. So it's Monday, so everybody's talking about it Monday because Sunday everyone's at home and the news cycle is a little slow. And so everybody's reacting it today because it's the first day of the week. It's really sad. It's really tragic. I don't want to give out too information because not much is known. They know the name of the driver. They know his race and ethnicity, but I'm not going to say it because it honestly does not matter. He he did something really bad, and who knows what his motivation was? I'm not going to guess as his motivation. Already, you see people from the left and right making guesses of what their motivation are, and projecting what the other side's guess of what their motivation is going to be. The right is saying the left is going to make this into some revolutionary call, and the left is saying, "Oh, they're going to call it terrorism." But honestly, we don't know. Everything's still up for debate. We don't know what's going to happen, and we'll just need some investigating. So don't jump the gun. Don't say things that you don't know about. Just keep your eyes open. Um, keep your eyes open. Keep your ears open. Don't make any assumptions. Just stick to the facts. And if you're not and if you don't know much about it, then don't talk about it. Just say that I'm just saying that this happened. Keep your ears open. This is a tragedy. My heart goes out to all the people um, to the families of those who were killed, and my, my hope goes out that the people who were injured um, get better. And so that's one of the big headlines that came out today that people are talking about today. The next big thing is a dozen storm California Nordstrom in brazen flash mob style robbery, 3 arrested. So this is crazy. Of um this is coming out of Creek, California, and if you don't know that where that is, that's in the Bay Area. So it's in San Francisco. So of course this would happen in San Francisco. Excuse me. So out of breaking news out of San Francisco, 80 people stormed into a Nordstrom on Saturday and made off with thousands of dollars worth of merchandise. It's crazy. Only 3 people were arrested. You know, um, I'll say that it's clear that the San Francisco area is an area in which district attorneys and and the citizenry in general have taken a light on crime approach due to what they believe is systemic racism in the criminal justice system. But it's clear that this method of policing has resulted in emboldening criminals to do to escalate their crimes. I just read a news article yesterday about San Franciscans. I don't know what you call them. I think it was San Franciscans, but their their homes are just getting broken into multiple times. So like a person, there's in the article it was saying like a person riding on on a Lime scooter, case the joint, take a few things and leave, then come back the next day with a bigger bag, and take more things. So that way they're smarter about what they take, you know. So regardless of how you feel about systemic racism, about the criminal justice system, it's clear that something is going wrong in California in regards to how policing is done and how the government is reacting to crime and criminals. Now, yeah, this is just one example. As if I've many wall for in San Francisco in the same area, multiple like a dozen Walgreens have shut down due to shoplifting because in the area, the DA has stated they will no longer prosecute shoplifting crimes under $850, which is crazy. Like, so a person can walk in San Francisco, walk into a business with a bag of trash, or with a trash bag, not bag of trash, with a trash bag, um, fill up the trash bag with random things and walk out and not worry about getting prosecuted. There's videos of it. You can look them up yourself. But actually, it would be funny. Let's look it up. Let's see. Let's see, man on bike, Walgreens. See if it pops up. Walgreens. Ah, there it is. It's amazing. From the New York Post. Brazen shoplifter loads up at Walgreens in front of security and leaves on bike. A brazen shoplifter was caught on video stuffing items into a garbage bag inside a San Francisco Walgreens, then pedaling off on his bike in front of a security guard who simply recorded the theft on his phone. The shocking footage, posted on Twitter by KGO TV reporter Li- Liane Melendez, shows that unidentified thief filling up on stolen goods as two people, one apparently security guard, standing in the aisle with their phones out. The crook then hops on a bike, pedals past the pair, with the guard making a failed attempt to grab the bag before the man bikes to the automatic front door and takes off. And that's just the state of affairs in San Francisco. Lighting crime is just not working, and they need to figure something else out. What that is, I don't know. But just know that it's things like this that cause communities to fall apart. I could be apocalyptic and say this is what causes the nation to fall apart. Sort of. If these policies become, these lighting crime policies become more mainstream, the nation will fall apart. But it's only like this city. Like here, I'm in California, and the city I'm living in is pretty good about keeping its criminals in check. So not all cities in California are the same, but we certainly will go down that road if the if the wrong people get put into positions of power. So I'm really hoping that doesn't happen. Um, Maybe we can. Yeah, there it is. There he goes. And whoop. And it's because of things like that like a dozen Walgreens are closing down, and they're changing the way they're doing business. So instead of giving people access to the Walgreens, they lock the doors and have like a window, and you got to ask the clerk to go get the stuff for you. So the clerk will go out to the store, bring the stuff, put it in like a box, and push it towards you, so you can grab the stuff. First you pay, but you grab the stuff after you pay. You They put it in a security box. They push it through the window, and you grab the stuff, and then and then activists have the gall to call it racist when it's just um that's just the result of the crime, you know. And what's really sad is like there's people who rely on these local Walgreens for their medications, the elderly, you know. I was reading a story of how a man, I don't know if it was in San Francisco in particular, but he lives in a home of the elderly, and this is like he's the only guy, the youngest, one of the younger guys there, but he was one of the younger guys there, but but he would walk to the Walgreens to pick up the medications for all his friends, in the building. But his local Walgreens closed down because of crime. And now instead of having to walk like a short distance, like right out the door, he has to walk like several miles, and he can't do it. And he's the only one doing this chore for his friends. So it's pretty sad. Speaking of the wrong people in power, another thing that hasn't been in the news, probably because there's not a huge impact yet from it. But Biden's Build Back Better plan has passed through the House. The Build Back Better Act. It's a bill that takes $1.75 trillion. So 1 trillion and $750 billion, and puts it into clean energy and climate change provisions, child care and preschools, for child tax and earned income tax credits, home care, housing, Affordable Care Act credits for equity and other investments, whatever that means, higher education and workforce, and $35 billion to expand Medicare hearing services. Excuse me. Now, so $1.75 trillion is a lot of money, and it hasn't been headliner news, honestly, because there's a bunch of other things that's been going on. Kyle Rittenhouse was acquitted of all charges. The Ahmaud Arbery case is still going on. I decided not to mention that because there's still a lot I don't know about it. I'm not comfortable talking about it, and it's a pretty touchy subject. So there's that. There's Kyle Rittenhouse. There's the Waukesha, Wisconsin thing. And so this one takes a backseat to what's currently happening, but it's certainly important. The Build Back Better Act faced unanimous repulsion from Republicans. Republicans unanimously voted against the Build Back Better Act, and moderates and other Democrats voted against it. But there was enough support behind the Build Back Better Act to get it to the House, where it'll now face a Senate vote. And in the Senate, it is likely to die. So that's probably why, not die, but it's likely to be voted back down to the House, where they'll just re-vote on it and make more deals. So it's going to the Senate for a vote. It's likely going to be shot down to the Senate, go back to the House. But it's just a lot of money, and it makes you wonder where they're going to get all this money, you know. And it says this is where, and it has that right here in this Wikipedia article. It says 400 billion from IRS reform, including enforcements of tax payments from taxpayers making over $400,000. $350 billion by imposing a $15 minimum tax on foreign corporate profits. $325 billion via a 15% corporate minimum tax, applying to corporations making over $1 billion for 3 consecutive years. $250 billion by closing a Medicare tax loophole benefiting the wealthy. Yeah, I don't know about that one, but yeah, sure. $230 billion from adjusted gross income surcharge of the 0.02% most wealthy, applying a 5% rate for those who make $10 million, an additional 3% surtax above $25 million, and $145 billion by repealing the 2017 Tax Act's rebate rule regarding prescription drugs, and $125 billion via a 1% surcharge on stock buybacks. So, from what I understand, they're putting a charge when a company buys back their stock from investors to give it basically to give investors money. So it's basically buying back their stock to be able to give money to their investors as a sign of like, oh hey, like here, have some cash. Thank you for investing in us, you know. And so that's I'm probably got that wrong. Somebody call me out on that. Somebody could probably explain it better. That's how I understood it. I'm not quite sure what a stock buyback is, but they're putting a 1% surcharge on corporate stock buybacks. So that's how they're thinking of paying for the of the Build Back Better plan. Now, you think, all right, at least they have a plan to pay for all of this, but we're talking taxes on like people that have already been taxed, you know, a lot of money, you know, and they're going to start doing things immediately. It's not like they're going to wait for the money to come in. They're going to start doing they'd probably want to start doing things as soon as the act gets passed, you know. So where are they going to get the money? And so people's fear is that there's going to be inflation. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but that's sort of what naturally happens when you got to make money from nothing. And I just find it interesting that most of the money is going to come from taxpayers making over $400,000. And so the question, well, that sounds like a lot of money, $400,000. But let's do a quick Google search, because anybody could do a quick fact check in Google search on what that means. So let's do it. Who are the people making $400,000? And here we have a article from moneyning.com. And the first one, the president. Now, the article states that it's over 400,000, and the president's income is 400,000. So does that mean that the president will get taxed? Well, if he makes exactly $400,000, and the stipulation that it's over $400,000, the question remains on whether or not Biden himself will get taxed, and he chose that number specifically because he won't get taxed. But I don't know. I don't know whether or not he's going to get taxed. Just saying, he also gets a $50,000 annual expense account and a $100,000 non-taxable travel account and a $19,000 entertainment account. Now, $19,000 is 4% of his income. So let's say you make $2,000 a month. 4% of that, $80. I think, yeah. That sounds about right. $80. Wouldn't you love to have $80 more for entertainment? I want my job to pay me $80 for just for being myself. So it's just interesting that they chose $400,000 as the limit. But he's not the only one. They're surgeons and specialists, CEOs and founders. So you're like, oh wow, CEOs typically don't make millions of dollars. Not all CEOs, because when you talk about a company's profits, you're not really talking about how much CEOs make in general. The CEO doesn't just skim off the top. There's a board and they decide how much they pay each other. And so like CEOs and founders, they don't get paid millions of dollars, though $700,000, like it says right, that's quite a lot. Now, more than what I make, I wouldn't mind working for that. But yeah, I agree with this article's statement right here. There's a plenty of CEOs from private companies who make quite a bit of money. The job can be stressful, but when you're the top dog, you reap the reward whenever your company does well. And honestly, like CEOs, if they're the ones leading the charge and doing the work, working 80 hours per week, it makes sense that they should be rewarded. But that's up for debate. Wall Street bankers and lawyers. Let's not get into that. I have no respect. Mortgage loan officers, speakers in public events, and YouTubers. And this is what it has to say about all these people. These high income earners are really rare. Consider the fact that most articles listing the highest paying jobs in America don't even include any professions with median salaries of $400,000. Those individuals making $400,000 per year are in the top 1%, and often they're also public figures. Now, I did a little bit of digging around, and the number is more between 1 and like 2%. So really, when they talk about the top one. Well, it's 1 and 2% people make $400,000. It's between 1 and 2. But still, people are always saying like, oh, the top 1% needs to like pay their fair share, you know. But the top 1% also includes people making $400,000. And this article continues. You know, let's see. Oh, no, maybe not this article. This other one. Let me pull it up. Who pays the majority? There you go. Pays the majority of taxes. Let's see. Percentage of people who pay majority of taxes. There's one website that has a really great diagram. Let's see. Was it this one? No. Look, how people are gonna even see that? Let's see. Maybe it's I should have saved these articles, but I was at work. Let's see. Taxes. Is it here? They had this really there it is. This is the one. Believe it or not, the richest Americans do pay most of the federal income tax. And here they have this cool diagram from howmuch.net. So here we see the bottom 50%, so people like you and me, pay 2.8% of taxes. Half of all people, half of America, pay 2.8% of taxes of the whole thing. The top 50% pays 10.5. The top 10% pays 10.9. And the top 25% pays 15.9. Let's just go straight to the top 1%. Pays 39.5% of taxes. You know? That's crazy. You know? And I had a quote. It's from this guy at CNBC. Sam Dogan. And it said of people who making $400,000 a year, who are in the top 1%. So these people who make $400,000 a year. He like did a medium budget of what these guys usually put, how much these guys usually have at the end of the year, and it was like $34. So the people who make $400,000 a year on average, you know, or medianly, they tend to have only dollars at the end of the year because they put a lot of money in savings, or that really you shouldn't touch until you're retired. You know, they put a lot of money in savings. They pay a lot for childcare, probably because both parents are working. They put a lot in They put a lot in. I wonder if my thing turned off. I think my thing turned off because there hasn't been any noise going on. But maybe I should just turn on some Spotify. Hold on, guys. Let me turn on some Spotify so that way my headset doesn't turn off. All right. Okay. Excuse me. So Sam Dogan of CNBC states that the people who make $400,000 a year, the family, because there's usually families that make that much amount of money, they do not live it up. From CNBC. Man, I wonder if I could find where he said that. Yeah, I need to bring my laptop to work to save all these articles. Let's see. I swear it was like right here. Let's see. Oh, that's not going to be helpful. Managers. Oh, look. It seems like most of the people in this thing are managers. Health services, drugs, other industries, construction. Interesting. Take a look at that later. Man. Mm, let's see. So the question is, or so they're going to raise taxes on these guys, and let's say they, and it's the top 1%. Like, they're, what's that going to do? Strain their income. And these are people who are valuable to our economy. You know, so when you strain that much income from a family, you know, and it keeps growing and growing because they're going to need more and more money because this is how it goes. Um, like, they're just going to end up leaving the United States. A lot of families have, you know, um, and then what are they going to do? Print more money? I don't know. Anyway, so just saying, um, this Build Back Better Act. Yeah, sure, it has some good things, but at what? But this cost is more than what it seems. The cost of this thing is more than just like more than just taxing the people making over 100,000. This is gonna affect you and me, and it already is. Have you been to the grocery store? Have you been to any store? The shelves are either empty or the prices are way up. So just saying, read what you can, be informed, and be careful. Be informed. And so that's America news. All the American news that I wanted to cover. Um, and in world news, let's move on to world news. In other news, Cuba congratulates Venezuela on poll before result was out. So here we have one corrupt government congratulating another corrupt government on how great of a job they're doing with their people. This isn't news. This isn't news to anybody. Every Hispanic can tell you the extent of the respective countries' corruption. My parents know it. My uncles know it. My friends in Venezuela know it. My friends from Guatemala know it. Like they know. Everybody knows that there is extreme corruption in these Latin American countries. So you can't really call news if it's something everybody knows. But here's what is news, because this is how it relates to you. Illegal cross from timcast.com. Illegal crossings increase as crisis at U.S.-Mexico border remains unsolved. So the corruption of these countries is driving poverty and driving restlessness. You have so many people coming from these countries to come to America because America, they've been promised, is way better. But at this point, there's no guarantee. Now, I'm not going to say whether or not this is a good or bad thing, but here's just what the studies say. That studies show that illegal immigration does not help the economy, whereas legal immigration does. This isn't me saying I'm for or against illegal immigrants coming to the country. This isn't me stating that illegal immigrants should be deported. That's just what the study. I'm just stating a study. I can't pull it. I forgot to pull it up. You could Google it yourself. But the study shows that legal immigration helps our economy, and illegal immigration does not. And you can dive into why that is. I don't really want to dive into that right now, because this is. I just wanted to point out that there still remains a crisis at the border. Millions of people have poured in, and they're being sent to different places of the country to cover up the fact that the administration is doing a bad job at the border. There's the timcast.com themselves have reported on how the Biden administration has been sending children to Tennessee, minors to different parts of the country to dump them there and dumping them there, you know. Haitians, these Haitian immigrants that people have been pitying, 1 in 3 are showing up for their court dates for their refugee status. And it's interesting. A lot of these Haitian immigrants, they have Chilean and Honduran ID cards. How did they get Chilean Honduran ID cards? That's because they came from Chile and Honduras. A lot of them have refugee status there. So why are they coming here? Well, because it's better in the United States. That's why. We can discuss whether or not that's good for America or whether or not that's bad for America. I'm not going to give an opinion because people are sensitive. I'm just saying that's just what's happening. 1 in 3 Haitian immigrants are showing up for the court dates. That's just what's happening. And so you're saying, like, how does that affect me? How does people crossing the border affect me? Because, like, yes, a lot of them are here for work. A lot of them are here to, you don't think that will involve you, but a lot of times, like, criminals pass over with these innocent people as well. And these innocent people get used by criminal organizations for their own stuff. They pay a lot of these people will end up paying these criminal organizations to cross into certain areas. And if they can't pay, they get roped into the criminal organizations, the cartels, specifically the cartels that get dragged into their business because they need to pay. They have them work on their illegal farms in Southern California or in Mexico or wherever they are at, and be used as slave labor. Even in the United States, they can be used as slave labor. Now, my wife will tell you, because she worked in the fields, that people working in the fields... I'm going to take a little drink. I'm thirsty. Make bank. And it's true. People working in the fields do make a lot of money. These people will make a lot of money, and untaxed income at that. Because the work is difficult, the work is long, and so you pay well for hard work. However, because they're illegal immigrants, they get paid under the table. That means that The business has no obligation to treat them well, has no obligation to give them breaks, has no obligation to give them rest breaks, meal breaks, to pay for overtime, to pay for benefits. These workers work like 12 hours a day, but because they're not legal immigrants, they don't get benefits, and so they're just left working really hard for a bit of cash. Or in reality, if they were to hire Americans, they have to pay they they they'd pay about double to retain an American worker. So they'd pay the worker and then double what they pay the worker in order to retain that worker, because that's just how it is in America. The government forces its businesses to take care of its employees, which is a good thing in a lot of respects, you know. But when it comes to illegal immigrants, businesses have no obligations to take care of them. And how could they prove that they weren't? You know. So, and then the whole cartel thing as well, because illegal immigration, at the end of the day, the ones that benefit most from it are the cartels. Speaking of which, here we have some news about one of the one of the meanest cartels in Mexico, Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación. The leader of this cartel, of his wife was arrested. Now, his wife was actually, she's not an innocent person. She she was actually helping to run the financial side and the money laundering side, the accounting side of the cartel. She was running that, and she, before she married El Mencho, she was actually running like a lot of the accounting for a lot of different organizations, just contractually. And so when they got married, it was a big deal the for the cartel industry. I guess you could call it like that. They call her La Jefa, the boss. And so she's a criminal, in her own right. And Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación are really bad people. They're very violent, very dangerous. I'm scared even talking about them, because if they found out I'm talking bad at them, they can come to my house. No, seriously. If they find out I'm talking bad at them, they could come to my house and kill me. Like, no joke. They'll break in and kill me. So, please don't come to my house, Cartel Nueva Generación. Please, I'm just saying, like, seriously. Anyway, just saying, they're it's cartels like these that bring crime into the United States. It's not the illegal immigrants themselves, though the illegal immigrants themselves do. Let's say they get into a car accident. Well, they're going to flee the scene because they don't have any papers and they don't have any insurance. So you see that a lot with illegal immigration in the United States. If you live in a town with illegal immigrants and you get in a car accident with an illegal immigrant, a lot of the times they're going to take off because, they don't want to get caught, and so they just take off and with no repercussions and leaving you there with a broke down car. They have no obligation to deal with you. But it's not every illegal immigrant. It's just the ones that deal with that. So yeah, but the most of the crime that is brought in by illegal immigrants is brought in specifically by cartels, and as a result, they terrorize our nation. Cartels literally terrorize our nation. Here I have this from thefederalist.com. California desert towns struggle to survive as violent illegal drug cartels take over. You could watch the video from yourself. You could find it from Jorge Ventura Media at Ventura Report. You can go to carteldoc.com to see what the cartels are doing in the United States. It's pretty brutal, so I'm not going to show it what they're doing. But it's, if you want to talk about, the things that are happening, if you want to talk real, this is very real and this is really happening. But towns in California, small towns, small towns like towns your cousin lives in, out in the middle of nowhere. They're being taken over by cartels, and the people there are being forced to leave or being violently ejected. You know, so this is very serious. It's a very serious issue, and yeah, this is just what's happening in our nation. Um, so yeah, that's it for Latin American news. There's a lot of things going on in the world. For example, there's riots and protests going all across Europe in regards to vaccine mandates. People are standing up to the vaccine mandates and um, are standing up to the vaccine mandates. Oh, this is cool. This is just a cool track. All right. All across Europe, people are covering it way better than I ever could. So Tim Pool covered it. You should go check it out. We Are Change covered it. You should go check it out. But people are standing up to. So I don't really feel like there's a need to cover it. So the one thing I do want to cover is Iran in the Middle East. Just really quickly, just some headlines from the Middle East. From BBC.com. Justin Bieber urged to cancel Saudi show by Khashoggi's fiance. Justin Bieber was going to go play at a show in Saudi Arabia, and he's going. I don't think he's responded to this yet. As of yet, I haven't checked, honestly. But Jamal Khashoggi, his fiance, urged him not to. And why is that important? Well, that's because Jamal Khashoggi is dead. This is one thing I didn't like. I liked a lot of what Trump did, but this is one thing I did not like. If I could meet him, I would ask him to his face, like, why was your reaction the way it was? Why did you react the way you did with the killing of Jamal Khashoggi? He was a he was a journalist. Covered Middle Eastern affairs, and he walked into a consulate, a Saudi consulate, and was murdered there because he needed to get papers to marry his fiance, and because he needed that paperwork, he went to a consulate to pick it up, and was killed. And Trump basically covered it up. So pretty messed up. I don't like that. I like a lot of what Trump did, but this I did not like. And so his fiance, Jamal Khashoggi's fiance, is speaking out, telling people like, hey, telling Justin Bieber's sister like, hey, don't play at this show and protest. Cause yeah, it's just crazy. It happened in America. The killing, the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. It technically happened on their soil because it was a consulate. But still, it's pretty sad. It shouldn't have happened. Trump shouldn't have reacted the way he did. I think he was just trying to protect international relations, but I don't think it would have been worth it. I don't think that was worth protecting, a relationship worth protecting, because they're probably going to give in to China anyway, you know? So, yeah, Justin Bieber has been urged to cancel the Saudi show, but he probably won't. And Iranian news from Breitbart.com. Taliban banning TV shows featuring women actors demand female TV journalists to wear hijabs. So, um, so as you know, Iran has fallen to the Taliban. The Taliban is now full control of Iran, and they're already making changes, specifically banning women, banning TV shows, these TV shows featuring women actors, and demanding them to wear the hijabs. And it says right here, it's a religious guideline. It's not even like like technically a law. These aren't rules, but a religious guideline. So they're forcing, so banning this as a result of doing this as a result of their religion and not of their like actual law that has been passed. And you could see that this is a cultural issue, and this is things like this are just going to continue to happen. You know, we shouldn't have been in Iran. I think it was a good call to call the United States out of Iran, but Biden did so bad, and it's really sad what happened. And now the people of Iran are going to pay the price for Biden's failure, because they completely pulled out overnight, leaving the Iran like their forces without logistics. There's actually a video of Iranian commandos running out of ammo amidst the firefighting. Like, what do you do? And those men were killed. So it's really sad. And then China's probably going to swoop in up on Iran and make deals that they probably already have. And it's just a sad thing to see. And this is just a result of their culture. That's just how it's going to be. And it's just going to keep getting worse. And then finally, we have some China news. Now, some big news out of China is that they're prepping for their invasion of Taiwan. I don't know when that's going to happen. They've been saying they're going to be doing that for the past 30 years. But with this administration, we'll see. Biden has said they'll come to the defense of Taiwan. But we'll see what actually happens. But just to show you the level of depravity that comes from the Communist Chinese Party in China, we have this from the BBC. Pang Shuai, video claims to show Chinese tennis player at tournament. Now, Pang Shuai is a Chinese tennis player. He was a world champion, a really, really talented tennis player. And she made a social media post accusing a Chinese Communist Party official of sexual misconduct. So I won't say exactly what happened, but you know, somebody was definitely not treated. It was pretty bad. And then after she made that post, minutes later, literally 2 minutes later, the post was deleted, and she went missing for 3 weeks. And so China has been putting out footage of her in like random places. I see there's a footage of her at a tennis tournament. And And yeah, like it's let's just say China is known to manipulate footage and also to force victims into participating in things they shouldn't, forced confessions, forced brainwashing techniques, and things like that. So China's official stance is that she's safe and she's okay. They've even put out a video where she says she's safe and okay, but the Chinese Communist Party can really make anybody say anything. That's how much influence they control. That's how much power they have. So that's why it's put to heavy doubt when they say Peng Shuai is okay, because there's a good chance that she's not. All right. And that's today's news.